Hi, everyone, it's Emily, and I think it's safe to say that people are running out of excuses for why they're not playing the Trails games. Now that we have Trails in the Sky First Chapter available on most modern platforms, with some stunning enhancements to the remake, from the graphical style and the combat system that's infusing a hybrid system with both action and turn-based mechanics, and of course not to mention the voice acting in both Japanese and English, there are, I think, fewer and fewer excuses for not giving the Trails series a go. And now that we have an official announcement that Trails in the Sky second chapter is coming next September, so less than a year away, I think there are fewer and fewer reasons not to play this beloved series that I think is essential for all JRPG players. So in this video, I really wanted to advocate for Trails and hopefully convince a few of you who have not started your Trails journey just yet to hopefully give the series a go, especially starting with Trails in the Sky First Chapter Remake as your first entry into this beloved franchise. So what makes the Trails series so special? You may have heard about the Trails series over the last few years, or even before that, because it is a 26-year-old franchise. And you may also know that there are multiple games that span across multiple different arcs that you are encouraged to play linearly, in that every single game is not episodic, but you kind of have to start from the beginning to get the whole picture of the world and epic story that is building across all those different games. And if you kind of look at the history of this body localization, paired with the games being spread across different platforms that you may or may not have access to, and just the sheer number of hours it could take to get caught up to the story of where it is now, it's certainly a very intimidating series to try. But now that Nihon Falcom has made the very first game as a remake that's available on modern platforms such as the Nintendo Switch systems, as well as the PS5 and PC, I think this is a wonderful jumping point for anyone who has yet to start the series to give it a try, because you get the benefit not only of knowing the full story of what happens in the originals, because it is a one-to-one remake, but you also get so many quality of life enhancements with making story progression and not missing out on any hidden quests that were unfortunately a little bit easy to do in the originals. And also you get to have these stunning graphics. This is probably the best that we've seen so far from Nihon Falcom in their new engine. And you also get all the wonderful voice acting, both either in Japanese or in English. And it's so cool that they brought back the English voice actors that they used in the later games to kind of reprise their role as their younger selves for their characters. And I think one of the best things of all that I think will appeal to a lot of new fans is that they've incorporated the hybrid combat system that I think is some of the most unique sort of ways to do turn-based combat in modern games in general. I really like how you have the choice between action and turn-based for most monsters you encounter. And I just find the addition of the fast-paced action combat that has some intricate special moves and other kind of combinations that you could use on the fly with either easier enemies or slightly more difficult ones that can take a while to, give a pounding to before they're able to be vanquished. And you're also able to, at any time, switch back to the signature Trails combat, which is turn-based and has kind of tactical positioning that I also just find so satisfying to do with both kind of art or magic sort of attacks or craft, which are kind of skilled attacks, and just all the strategies when it comes to all the placements and movements you choose for your characters and how you build up what are called the orbment devices, which is sort of the Falcom way of the materia system, if you're familiar with Final Fantasy VII, or other sort of ways that you can enhance characters through equipping. It's just a very satisfying combat system, and definitely one of my favorites that I've ever played, that I think they've basically perfected in the remake games. I think I've only really scratched the surface of what makes these remake games a great starting point for anyone new to Trails. But I think outside of the access point of view of where you're able to play them, as well as a lot of maybe the graphical appearances and enhancements to the combat system that would appeal to a lot of modern JRPG players, what I think truly makes Trails one of the most special JRPG series out there is definitely the characters in the story. And you really get, I think, a good taste of what that's like in this very first game. So one common criticism I hear often from those who've tried the original Trails in the Sky games maybe halfway into Trails in Sky FC, is that they kind of give up because it's a little too slow burn for them. Or they found Estelle to be a little bit annoying when it comes to the female protagonist kind of trope. And I think those are valid criticisms, but what is really great about the remake is that it kind of, takes the one-to-one remake of the story, but it really enhances it, I think, with the graphical style that I think really appeals to modern players, that gets them a little bit more absorbed into the world that you're experiencing. And you're slowly seeing kind of the veil lift and unfold of what's really going on in the background, kind of at the same pace that the characters are. And I found that really refreshing and very satisfying when I was playing the remake myself on stream. Having known, of course, what was really going on, because I played all the other Trails games prior to this, but kind of revisiting the game with this lens, I just thought was so cool. And I think all the voice acting really keeps the, characters engaging for the player. And also a lot of quality of life benefits like markers of where to do the quests, for example, as well as fast travel. We didn't have fast travel in the original games, so kind of going back and forth, doing menial things could definitely be annoying in the originals. That is basically eliminated now in the remakes. I think is something that really appeals to modern JRPG players. And those who've never really experienced quite an epic like Trails, I think will quickly fall in love with it if they give the remakes a try, because it does take, I think, fewer hours to, get into the meat of this first game, but also get you really hyped once you finish it for the second game. I think I could guarantee that if you really digging the story for first chapter and you reach the end, you're going to want to pick up the second game right away and know what happens, because that's what Trails, I think, does best. They really hook you after doing a little bit of a slow burn, kind of setting things up. When things start to go into motion, there's so many things happening. It gets kind of crazy of just how exciting things could be and the momentum they build, kind of driving you to want to make progress in the rest of the story. But kind of circling back to, I think, all the characters and the stories and how intimidating, right, doing all the different entries in the Trail series can be. I would say that if you don't really have time, of course, for a 15+ series, you don't have to play all 15+ games. I think most JRPG players, they should at least experience the Trails in the Sky games. And if they want to stop after that, that's totally cool in my book personally, because it's a very satisfying arc and really, I think, shows you the foundation of what makes a lot of, JRPG storytelling really great that we may see in some other games or other experiences since they first released over 26 years ago. And if you are encouraged to play more, I think that's also great, because there are so many fantastic stories and characters you get to meet along the way in all the different arcs. So right now there are 4 different arcs. The Trails in the Sky games, there are technically 3 games, but if you want to just play the first 2 games, Trails in the Sky first chapter and second chapter, you're going to have a very satisfying experience in playing those games. For me, I was very much motivated to play more after that, to kind of, learn more about the larger world and the new characters that become the new protagonists and things like that. But, just as a high level sort of thing, I think if you are a JRPG fan, you should at least experience Trails in the Sky first chapter and second chapter. And these remakes, I think, give you a great opportunity to do that with so many different enhancements and just satisfying experience all around if you get to start your Trails journey. So definitely don't feel intimidated by how many hours the games could take. For Trails in Sky first chapter, I know on stream I played it for about 80 hours, but I was talking to every single NPC and trying to, look at every nook and cranny of the world, and that's not necessary for your Trails experience. So do not worry about that. I know most players played around 50 to 60 hours for the game, which I think is a pretty good length for JRPGs nowadays. Definitely don't be intimidated by the length of these games. And I can kind of guarantee once you get hooked, the hours that you spend playing it will just fly by. So I haven't been talking too much about the kind of small details about what I love about Trails the most, mostly because I want you guys to experience it for yourselves if you've never played the Trails games before, and hopefully just kind of alleviate any worries when it comes to starting the games. because I could guarantee if these games look somewhat interesting to you, you've been curious about them for a long time, but you just haven't started yet, I really hope that some of the things I mentioned here today about what makes the remake, I think, a really great launching place to start will help encourage you to give Trails a go and see if the series is right for you. Because I really think this series is fantastic for anyone who loves a very interesting combat system. I think this hybrid system, is near perfection. And I'm really excited to see if they make any more improvements in the second chapter that's coming out next year. And when it comes to the characters and story, there's a reason why Trails is my favorite franchise ever. I just think Nihon Falcom, just over the years, how they've used this kind of long form storytelling and getting to see a lot of these characters, overcome things and grow beyond maybe each and every game, because you get to see them reappear in, games later down the line. It's just so satisfying that I really wish more JRPG series did this. There's definitely pros and cons, I think, when it comes to episodic JRPG stories, where you just have a nice self-contained story in one game versus having multiple games kind of build upon themselves. There might be some nice kind of somewhat episodic arcs in, say, Trails that focus on a core kind of feature of the entire long story. But kind of, I think when you put these all into context, this is why there's so many people crazy about Trails, like myself, and why we just really love these games and hope that more people get to play them. I was personally really happy to see on Metacritic that Trails, even though there's only, 33 official Metacritic reviews on, I think, Trails in the Sky First Chapter right now, available on there, they're very positive. It seems like most people were very impressed who got to review the game and saying that this is a top tier JRPG experience. I just hope that the number of people who get to play and experience these games will just grow, in a short amount of time, because you're really missing out, I think, if you're not playing Trails. And I think now there's no more excuses. It's easier than ever to start Trails and see, if the franchise is right for you or not. So I hope this video helped convince some of you who may have not started your Trails experience to give it a go. If you have any other questions and concerns, be sure to leave them down below. I also highly encourage those who have not played yet to try out the demo. Get a nice long demo. I played the demo for 12 hours, but you could definitely play it in a shorter amount of time, but it should give you a very good idea about what to expect when playing the Trails games, and again, whether or not they're right for you or not. I want to thank all of my channel members for helping make videos like these, as well as my live streams, both here on YouTube and on Twitch, possible. And a big shout out to my Orbment Architect level channel members, Dr. God and Trin. Thank you so much for all of your support. So let me know if you are inspired to start your Trails journey, or what has made you still kind of hesitate in starting. Let me know down below. And until my next video, bye everyone.